Hello, I'm Tom Tuning, and I'm going to talk to you about the new scanner that is built into FSM 1.2 and how it relates to creating actual CIs in the database and how those CIs can be attached to service requests, and then what that does for us. Alright, so let's log on as SDadmin. And the first thing we want to do is take a look at the current CIs we have in the system. Alright, to do that we have to go to IT Infrastructure, Configuration Items. If you hit enter without entering anything, you'll see all the configuration items in the list, and you can see we have 527. If you know the host name or the description of something, you can type that in, like I just typed depot in, and I got the computer scan discovery here, or the CS scan, and the OS scan here, and you can see that these records are related to each other under the related configuration items. So these two items were discovered in scan, and they were linked to each other. So if we go to a command window and we try to ping the XP client, we note that the IP address is 10.100.140. Okay, so let's go back to configuration items in the list, and let's search for XP client. Okay, it's not there. And if we search for the IP address, it is also not there. So I scanned my network before I uploaded it to TideAG. So let's go and run the scan against the network that is on this system. So I'm going to Platform Configuration, Quick Configuration, and under Discovering Configuration, I'm going to leave this DNS server alone because frankly it's not going to matter, because the host name of XP client is not in any DNS server that we can discover, so it's not going to be discovered via host name regardless. Alright, so my scope of my search last time was in this subnet, so I'm going to change it to the subnet that I'm using in this demo environment. Alright, and we're going to save that. Now the other thing we need to do, we note that the time in this demo environment is 6:17, so I'm going to change the timer on this so that it runs, say, 6:19, and hit save. So now this thing will run hopefully in 2 minutes. We'll save this, and we will reload the request. And it's going to add new discovered CI. So it's not going to discover everything, it's just going to add new ones. Alright, so I think I've hit save and reload enough. Hopefully it'll work. I'm going to hit pause here and wait a few minutes and see what happens. Alright, it's been a couple minutes. Let's look around and see what we've got here. We click on Configuration Discovery, and let's click on this History tab, and you can see at whatever time this was, 17:21, we've discovered 2 new IP addresses and 2 new computer systems. So let's hit return, and now we're going to go back to our configuration items, and now let's just hit enter and see if the number's gotten bigger. Yeah, so now the number is 535, where I believe before it was 527. If we type XP client in here, This is still not found, and this is a name server discovery issue. In my test environment, I don't have a correct name server, but normally that would be there. If we type the IP address, however, of the XP client, we can see that it's in here. All right, so the scan went out in my little environment with only 3 machines in it and discovered this resource. So now, if we go, let's just go to the Start Center and look at a service request. We'll look at our first service request that discussed the other that I've created earlier that talks about a computer called XP Client that is not working. Now here we can go to the configuration item entry and say select a value, and let's search for our IP address. We find the value, so I'm going to select the computer system one, not the operating system one. And now we've added a configuration item to this service request. So now when we go to the remote diagnostics panel, I'm going to type administrator smartway there. Now when the Java web start for the remote control session happens, it auto fills in our server IP address. Before it just said unknown there and we had to type it in ourselves. So now that we've added that information to our service request, we get some benefit there, as you can now track the CI and use it for the remote diagnostic session. Thanks for listening and happy demoing.